Hi everyone, thank you very much for watching today's video, how to eliminate negative thinking. Okay, so this is a really big one, and it's something that so many people struggle with out there, and that's both young and old. This goes across all age spectrums, and it's something that has a really detrimental impact on somebody's life and somebody's quality of life. What we know about negative thinking is the more negative thoughts someone has, or the more negative thinking pattern that someone has within their lives, is that they're more likely to experience things like depression, anxiety, and poor self-esteem. Okay, and like a negative thought doesn't just stay with a negative thought. A negative thought, if you're fixated on a negative thought, it will then move on to you having negative emotions, negative feelings. So whether this is worry, whether it's fear, whether it's sadness, and the more you focus on that, even that sense of helplessness that someone can experience. But it then also moves on to us having unhelpful, unwanted behaviors and actions that actually might make a situation that's already difficult and already that we're struggling with even more complicated and even more challenging for us. So even look, if I give you an example of that, maybe it might be helpful. So let's say you have a presentation to give, whether it's for work or whether it might be for school or college, and you're really nervous about giving this presentation, okay? And in your mind, you're starting to come up with these negative thoughts, and then one of the negative thoughts might be, oh my God, I'm going to make such a fool of myself, I won't be able to speak properly, okay? It then jumps from there that you're feeding that negative thought, you're giving it loads of time, loads of attention, and now what has happened is you're completely helpless. You know, that worry has completely exasperated you. You're in this state of worry and fear. Now what might happen is to get out of this situation, because you're in that fight or flight state, your cortisol level is very high, which is your stress hormone. And now what happens is maybe you ring into work sick. Maybe you avoid going to school to give the presentation. And all of this could have been prevented by taking steps prior to that. And the biggest problem with it is if we follow through with those types of actions and those types of behaviors, are every time we're faced with a similar situation, we'll do typically the same thing. Okay, so what we're starting to do then is a chain of events are leading up that now we're starting to develop a really ineffective behavior, which will be a video for another day. But let's bring it back, okay? What we're trying to do here is it's really a three-step process. Number one, we're trying to catch the negative thought, okay? So bring our awareness to it. Because sometimes we're lost in that negative thought and we're really not aware. We're not doing too much conscious thinking about it. We want to come from that negative thought and we want to challenge it, okay? So how do we challenge the negative thought? And we look at what that process is to challenge that negative thought. And we're trying to move from there then to replacing the negative thought that you first had with a positive thought, or a thought that is less benign in nature, where you will have, you know, it affects you less and you're able to get on with your day in a far more effective way, okay? Now the thing about it is we might have to repeat this process over and over again. It's no different to going to the gym to work the physical muscles of the body. When we're trying to change a thinking pattern that might be there for a very long period of time or for an ongoing period of time, it's going to take work, it's going to take effort. But it is all very achievable, and I think that's really important, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at the processes that we'll go through, and it's a two-step process. Okay guys, the two-step process that we're going to go through, okay? Number one, and it's super important, we're going to change our physiology, okay? This is the key to challenging your negative thoughts, okay? Number two, when we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to process through the negative thought or that negative thinking pattern that you're having at that moment in time, and we're going to tease it out. So it's going back to that earlier part of the video where you become aware of your negative thought. What you want to do is you really want to challenge it and you want to replace it. So you want to change it, okay, and come up with something that's more positive, or at the very least is less benign in nature, so you can get on with your day and have a good day. Okay, so number one, changing our physiology. What we know when we're having a negative thought or we're worrying about something, our physiology changes almost instantly. So some of the signs of that, we might go from an open posture into a really closed posture or a slumped posture. Our facial expression will change very, very quickly, going from maybe a smile to maybe a grin or a frown, or just that sense of worry when you might see in someone's face. Our heart rate might be elevated and our breathing might change, okay? So I'm going to give you 3 steps to changing your physiology, okay? And think about that. When you're like that, your cortisol level is high, and it's like running a car in the wrong gear. It just can't run right. So think about the mind. The mind isn't going to be able to rationalize and challenge that negative thought unless your physiology is there to support it. Okay, so the 3 steps that we're going to go through for changing your physiology is, number 1, I want you to try to find a place where you can do a power pose for 2 minutes. So that can be your hands behind your head, or it can be your hands beside your waist and just the shoulders back. Okay, so whichever of these you choose, it doesn't matter. But while you're doing that, you're going to breathe deep in and out. So slow the breathing deep into the belly and out for 2 minutes. Okay, when you've done that, the next part is super, super important. And the wonderful Tony Robbins does this so, so well. You're going to think about 3 things, those 3 things in your life that you're most grateful for. Okay, so what you want to do is, when you're thinking about each of those things, I want you to tap into the emotion that you associate to those things. So whether it's your children, whether it's your partner, whether it's your husband, your wife, whether it's a friend, whether it's the roof over your head, whatever it might be, whether it's your job, whatever it is, I want you to tap into the emotion you associate to each of these 3 things. And when you've done that, I want you to smile. I want you to put a gentle smile on your face for 30 seconds or a minute. Now we've changed our physiology. Now what we're able to do is, now your brain chemistry is changing. Now your cortisol level, after the first 2 minutes of the deep breathing with your power pose, your cortisol levels have started to reduce. Okay, and the science is showing that can do that up to 22% over those 2 minutes. 22%. I mean, that's pretty huge. Now what we want to do is we want to process through that negative thought. This is really important. So there's 4 questions here that I pose that you ask yourself. So question 1, is this negative thought helpful to me? So ask yourself that question. And what's really important, and the second part of this, is that you answer that question. And how you answer that is, this negative thought is not helpful to me in any shape or form. This is like taking you out of autopilot and into the driver's seat. You're starting to take control of your thinking, okay? So question 1, we'll go over it once more. Question 1, is this negative thought helpful to me? Answer that question. Number 2, this negative thought is not helpful to me in any shape or form. Now question 3, if my friend or family member was having the same negative thought, what might I say to them to be helpful? This is a great question, because what it really does is it helps us to stand back from the situation, back from the problem, and almost look at it externally. So like you're looking at it from the outside looking in. And it's a great way, because what you're able to do here is you're able to separate for a moment from that negative thought. And if this was my friend, what might I say to them? What rationale might I give to them to say, look, you really need to worry about this. This isn't helpful to you. Maybe this might be another way of looking at it. Now, question 4. If I am to look at this negative thought in a more positive way, or this negative situation in a more positive way, how does that look to me? How do I feel about it? And answer the question. By the time you've gotten to here, you should really be far more rational about the negative thought, or you should feel at this point in time that negative thought, it's not rational, I don't have to worry about it, and hopefully you can get on with your day. Now, this is a process that for some people, you might have to go over a number of times, okay? And if you have to do this every day for a period of time, do not worry about it. It will really pay off over time. Okay, guys, don't forget the 2 major steps to change our physiology, and we want to process through the negative thought to challenge it. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching the video. Really appreciate it. If you like what you hear, please like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much. See you all next time.